The early days of the Marvel Cinematic Universe were odd times, at least a little bit more odd than the well-oiled machine that the Marvel Cinematic Universe has become. In late 2005, Marvel had regained the film rights to Iron Man, and as that movie began filming, Kevin Feige was promoted to president of production at Marvel Studios. During this time, Marvel Studios would begin to lay the groundwork for what would become the largest interconnected universe in the history of film. During this time, Marvel experimented with storytelling in a variety of different mediums, from various video games released on major consoles to comics which were sponsored by various companies like Sega and Burger King and even a lube manufacturer. No, let's be adults here. A lubrication manufacturer for vehicles known as Royal Purple. And in their comic, it featured Iron Man losing the ability to use his suit and then hitching in a purple car, most likely lubricated by Royal Purple, which, I mean, that story's canon to the MCU. Which is an interesting thing to think about. I mean, one of my friends pointed out that this is canon to the MCU, meaning that, you know, the Iron Man who saved the universe, who stopped Thanos, who snapped the Infinity Gauntlet, this happened to him in canon, so that's just a thing in the MCU forever. Being a fan of the Marvel Cinematic Universe and wanting to consume content until I completely ran out for the purposes of making various lore videos and character histories for the channel, I stumbled across these interesting comics. While I was researching Emil Blonsky's backstory to make an Abomination video, I came upon these sponsored comics and it has completely fascinated me. So to sort of spin off out of that Abomination video, which I'm still intending to make, I wanted to talk about The Incredible Hulk, The Big Picture. This comic book is a prequel to 2008's The Incredible Hulk and is a Walmart exclusive CD-ROM which could only be obtained by purchasing The Incredible Hulk on DVD from a Walmart. Needing this comic to properly tell the entire story of Emil Blonsky, I headed to eBay to find one, and despite the box clearly saying not intended for resale, I like to live dangerously, so I purchased just the CD-ROM without the DVD of the actual film for about $10. The box art itself is not great. Actually, who am I kidding? It's god-awful. The comic book cover, done by Greg Horn, who still works with both Marvel and DC today, is great. So I'm not entirely sure why they decided to shrink down this art and just not have it grace the entire DVD cover, but I digress. The back of the case outshines the front, as some beautiful artwork from inside the comic itself is used to great effect as the Hulk fights off some dastardly evildoers. They let us know right away that we'd be mad to miss this story, and to be honest, if anyone actually knew it existed, they might be a little bit upset that the only way to properly experience a canon piece of Marvel Cinematic Universe material is to travel back in time to visit a Walmart and buy the damn thing. Unless, of course, you expect people to pirate the book or buy it from someone else. But, oh wait, it's not supposed to be for resale either. So, I mean, maybe Marvel has it on their website for purchase. Or maybe not. So now that I have it, just gotta pop the disc into the disk drive, which I don't think I've ever used in my life, and see what we've got. After firing up the CD, I was greeted with this delightful little menu, which is absolutely jam-packed with DVD extras. And by jam-packed, I mean it has one comic, 3 music tracks, and a handful of behind-the-scene images mixed in with some random frames from the movie. The music can be played while you're reading the comic, and I think they believe it adds to the experience of reading the book, and I'll say sure, I agree. But before I even clicked in to read the comic, I was asked the question, am I superpowered? And I just had to find out. So it looks like all we have to do is type this URL in here and we'll be on our way. Alright, no such luck. Maybe we can go back in time and see what this may have been. Okay, now we're getting somewhere. Unfortunately, doesn't look like we have any pictures, but we are on the Superpower registration page. Greetings, true believer, and thank you for purchasing the special edition Incredible Hulk DVD from Walmart. The personalized certificate verifying your power will be signed by the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., Nick Fury. Register your child's superpower now. It's easy. Well, I want to register my own superpower. This isn't just for kids, right? So, Garrick. Super speed it is. Download. Send to a friend. Okay, well, we tried. I'm sure this was great in 2008 when it worked. Upon opening up the comic book, the Macro Media Flash Player 7 booted up, and I don't think I've ever used this piece of software, but the player comes with these interesting controls that will sometimes work and sometimes not work at all, and they seem to be a sort of predecessor to the guided reading that we're used to with digital comics today. While it never read that smoothly, I recommend the smart panel functionality over the page-by-page option, which sometimes, didn't work at all. The comic itself is 22 pages, and I find it very interesting that it begins with a scene we never really delved into within the Marvel Cinematic Universe, at least not on film. Bruce Banner's final conversation before his life changed forever, and the immediate aftermath. I know we saw bits and pieces of this within the opening credits of The Incredible Hulk, which I adore. I wish more blockbuster films would use the opening credits as an opportunity for more storytelling, like Zack Snyder did with Watchmen, but it was nice to get a bit more detail concerning this pivotal moment for Bruce Banner. After things go horribly wrong and Bruce is transformed into the Incredible Hulk, General Ross tries to convince Bruce to let the government study him further. Bruce blames Ross for the incident and then goes on the run. He's eventually stopped at the Canadian border where Border Patrol finds out he's wanted in Virginia. So Bruce transforms, tosses around the truck, and then transforms back into a complete unit of a Bruce Banner. No offense to Edward Norton or Mark Ruffalo, but those guys were never this jacked. Bruce goes back on the run after this for a few months and then ends up in South America, where he helps a lost child find his way home. But it turns out that the boy was the son of a cartel leader, and the cartel attacks Bruce, forcing him into the Hulk. Meanwhile, Emil Blonsky, along with Bill Mantlo and Greg Pak, two characters named after the real-world comic book writers responsible for a large chunk of the Jade Giant's storied history, are making their way through the jungle, intending to capture the cartel leader alive. However, upon arriving at the scene, it is horrific, and Blonsky is baffled to find no explosive shells, which would typically be needed to cause this much destruction. So, in the end, Thunderbolt Ross is left Hulkless, Bruce finds a job in South America, and Blonsky is eventually loaned to the US, and the Incredible Hulk movie begins from there. Overall, it's a decent little piece of MCU history, simply meant to detail the events prior to the Incredible Hulk. Although, there are more Hulk prequel comics from the early days of the MCU, which I might get into in some other video. So while this story wasn't doing anything groundbreaking or really all that interesting from a character building perspective, it does help lay the groundwork for much of the Incredible Hulk lore that is integral to the film and the Marvel Cinematic Universe as a whole. And unlike the Royal Purple comic, this comic isn't like a product placement, even though it is a Walmart exclusive. Hulk doesn't mention Walmart, he doesn't go to Walmart, he doesn't visit the concession stand to get a little bag of popcorn and a little sticker for his hand that they gave out to all the kids in the 90s and early 2000s, which I remember fondly, but according to my demographics, you're likely not as old as me, so probably don't remember this time. Anyway, this video is not sponsored by the Walmart snack bar. I found the art to be solid, however, there was something about it that was making it hard to stay immersed in the story being told, and that was the absolute disregard for any likeness of the actors who would end up playing the characters in the film. The comic came out in October 2008, 4 months after the theatrical release of The Incredible Hulk and a full year after it began filming. So of course the artist who drew the book was aware of the actors who would be in the film. So I'm guessing that there may have just been an issue with using the likenesses of the actors who would be in the movie, maybe a licensing thing, but I mean, come on. It's not even close with Blonsky or Banner. I feel like the character designs could have at least evoked some of the same qualities that the actors had. You know, that would have at least sufficed, but hey, maybe there was a line drawn in the sand concerning the artwork and the artist could just not draw anything resembling the actors in the movie at all. So after setting out to simply make a character video on Abomination, I stumbled across an entire section of the MCU that I never knew existed, and they still make these today. There was a Pop-Tarts exclusive comic for Far From Home. There's a Dollar General comic, which now goes for like $70 to $100 on eBay that you can't get anywhere else. It's very interesting that they keep doing these sponsored comics, and they keep putting canon material into things that less than 1% of the population who goes out and sees the movies will ever see or ever know exists. So I'm gonna be like Thanos out here trying to get all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe sponsored comics to put into my shilled out Infinity Gauntlet so I know all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe lore. So if you guys like this video, I'd be more than happy to go over all of the other sponsored comics, given that I can actually get my hands on them. So let me know down in the comments if that's something you'd be interested in seeing. Also, be sure to like and subscribe. Of course, that does really help us out. It helps out with all the algorithm stuff. And share this video with some friends if you found it interesting. And don't forget the motto, it's The Incredible Hulk, the big picture Walmart CD-ROM digital exclusive over everything. And I'll see you guys next time.